What's good, YouTube? What's good? Welcome back to Real Talk Boxing. We're not biased, no discrimination over here. Y'all know the deal. Now, I said I was going to do a string of videos about fighters that I don't necessarily like, but I respect, right? Well, I'm gonna jump off that for a little bit and jump on this right here. The fight that everybody wants, well, not everybody, some people want it, and that is Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. I'm going to give you my take on the fight, should it happen in the future. I think it'll happen sometime next year if we get over this whole corona thing. Hopefully you guys are out there staying safe, being smart. Wash your freaking hands, people. I think it'll be a very, very intriguing fight. I have one of the fighters at a slight advantage because of certain things, but I do believe it's a 50-50 fight. Now, let's start with Errol Spence. How about that? Errol Spence is right up the road from me in Dallas, Texas. That's about a 3-hour drive from where I live. And I caught wind of Errol Spence about 3 years ago. You know, I first seen him fight against Chris Algieri, and I didn't know much about him, and I should have. But when I seen him destroy Chris Algieri like he did, I was like, yo, this dude's, you know, he might be a force to be reckoned with. Because, you know, Chris has been in there with some big name fighters, you know, and win some rounds with some big name fighters. And did pretty good for himself. And so I continued to watch him. And I noticed a couple of things about Errol Spence. Things that I noticed that I think he needs to work on, or that he just needs to do more of. Maybe he can do it, but he just chooses not to because nobody's made him do it yet. Head movement. I think he needs to move his head a little bit more. He gets in that winky right posture a little too much for me. But other than that, man, I mean, he's a pretty good fighter. He fights better going forward. He's extremely strong. His body attack is immaculate. He does not neglect the body. He puts rounds in the bank early with the body work. And great inside fighter. I haven't seen him fight much on the back foot. Honestly, I've only seen him box one fight, and that was against Mikey Garcia. And a lot of people criticize him for not being able to get Mikey Garcia out of there because Mike is a smaller guy. But you understand, Mike is a done. He's a monster. You ain't just going to get Mikey Garcia out of there. I don't care who you are. So that fight played out the way that I thought it was going to play out. But he's got some decent names on his resume. Not a huge resume. You know, you got Mikey Garcia. You got Sean Porter, which was a very close, exciting fight. If it wasn't for that knockdown, he could have, you know, maybe suffered a split decision loss or a draw. Who else has the man fought? He fought Kell Brook, which Kell Brook is no joke. I believe Kell Brook is one of the top fighters out there in the world today. He's a monster. And it takes a man to go over in Kell Brook's backyard and just take his belt the way that he did. And that's when I knew that Errol Spence was the truth, like he said. Who else has he fought? He fought Lamont Peterson. Lamont Peterson was on his way out. He wasn't in his prime when he fought Lamont Peterson. I love Lamont Peterson. Much respect for him. I mean, much respect to him. He's retired now, but I mean, even if he fought Peterson in Peterson's prime, I believe he would have beat Peterson. Not as badly as he did in their, you know, fight that passed, but he still would have beat him. Who else did he fight? He fought I can't remember who else he fought, but decent names on the resume. Good inside fighter, like I said, very, very strong. Decent jab. If you stand in front of Spence and just put your earmuffs on, you're gonna get ate up. He's gonna eat you alive. So you got to have movement. You got to be able to box. You got to be able to keep him on the outside, which is hard to do. The guy's very, very strong. So I like Errol Spence. I remember watching a live feed video from him on Instagram. He's not too, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, there was a lot of people chiming in on the video, typing, asking them questions, and you could literally see him reading the questions, you know, and he wouldn't even answer them. You know, like he wasn't even bothered with the fans. And to me, if you're a people's champ, if you're a champion, then you should be, you know, very friendly to your fans. You should always acknowledge them because, you know, that's how you eat, you know. I remember being on Instagram. I'm subscribed. Well, I follow Shannon the Cannon, Let's Go Champ, on Instagram. And he was doing a live feed one time. And there was a lot of people just chiming in. And I typed in something. What did I talk? I said, man, I've been following you since Friday Night Fights, man. I remember seeing you fight on Friday Night Fights in those ugly black and white striped trunks. And I was even watching you when Teddy Atlas was working with you. I typed that in the comment. Shannon read that comment. I saw him read it. And then all of a sudden my phone starts ringing. And I FaceTime with him on Instagram. Now, how many other fighters do you know will do that? I know Errol Spence won't. But when you got guys that do that kind of stuff, that lets you know that, hey, they just like me and you. You know, even though they're on a different platform, I was just floored, man. I was so appreciative. And I talked to him for like 10 minutes. 10 whole minutes, man. FaceTime with, with my man, Let's Go Champ, Shannon the Cannon. But to me, that was dope. Arrow didn't seem that way every time he went live. He hasn't gone live in I don't know how long. But, you know, maybe that's just how he is. But I think that, you know, if your fans are talking to you, you know, I know you can't talk to, you know, everybody at once, and there's a lot of people chiming in, but you should at least answer some questions. He wasn't answering nothing. He was just rattling on. He'd look down and read and just wouldn't even acknowledge the fans. And that kind of, you know. But anyway, let's get to Terrence Crawford, man. Crawford, he's a smaller guy. He's a smaller guy. But I think that Crawford has a lot more tools in his arsenal than Errol Spence. Now, will those tools be a factor? Some of them will. Some of them won't because of his size, the difference in the size. But I tell you what, Crawford he has it all. He's a switch hitter. He can fight righty or lefty. He can fight on the back foot. He can fight on the inside. He's a great counter puncher. He does get hit a lot early on. So if he does fight Spence and he gets caught clean, like I've seen him get caught clean now, I mean, he fought Hammer and Hank Lundy and got hit a whole lot. When he fought Gamboa, he got hit a whole lot early on. But he can't just get hit a whole lot against Errol Spence because, like I said, man, he can crack. But he's patient in the ring, and he gets stronger throughout the fight. He doesn't wither out. He just gets stronger the longer the fight goes. So, honestly, I think it could go one or two ways. You know, Errol Spence, get him out of there early. But if it goes the distance, I believe Crawford may be able to outpoint him. But if he can't keep Errol Spence off of him, he can't keep that inside game that Errol Spence has to bring to the table. If he can't nullify that, then he'll lose. He'll lose royally. But if he sticks to boxing, using his angles and being smart and counter punching and trying to outwork Errol Spence, I think he can edge a split decision, man. I really do. But I do give the edge to Errol Spence because of his size, the size difference. You know, people say size doesn't matter, and that's a lie. It just depends on what skill you carry with that size. I mean, you know, you can get a guy off the street, 300 pounds, 6'6", put him in a ring with somebody who's been boxing for 10 years, and that big guy's going to get his butt handed to him in a boxing ring, you know, where there's rules and regulations. But when you got a guy that big and has just as amount of skills as you do, then the big guy is going to win. I've seen it many a time. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a very intriguing fight. I hope it happens one of these days. But I miss boxing, y'all, man. I really do. This whole virus stuff is just, it's a trip, man. But y'all, I want y'all to stay safe, man. And all this stuff will pass, man. Just stay prayed up, man, and keep the faith. And all this stuff will pass. I will be back on doing another video about fighters that I don't necessarily like, but I respect. And I already have one fighter in mind who I didn't like in the beginning, but I started to respect him and toward the middle of his career when I, started watching him because I saw that his arrogance was not arrogance. It was just complete and utter confidence. But that's for another video. I want to thank you guys for stopping by, watching the videos. Thank for you guys' comments, your positive feedback, negative feedback, whichever. UK, England, y'all still killing it, man. Y'all show me love. Y'all show me mad love. A couple of people from the US, y'all show me mad love. It don't matter where you from. You show me love and respect, you're going to get it back. I'm going to show you love and respect first. And, you know, that's just the way I was brought up. So, I'm going to keep trying to get these videos out to you guys, man. Keep watching, you know, keep supporting. God bless everybody, man. Respect all, fear none. Peace.